Hi, I'm Jill Clifton of Landscape of Mothers, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about our landscapes and our inner mother. I think that it's easy to think of Landscape of Mothers in terms of parenting. That is, the landscape in which a mother operates. But what's also true is that we have an inner mother. So for decades, we've talked about having an inner child and tending to that inner child. And the question then is, who is the one who's taking care of the inner child? And it would be the inner mother. And initially, we model our inner mother on our caregivers. So however they behave, the things that they're willing to do to take care of us, the things they're not willing to do to take care of us, the needs that they perceive as important, and how they go about addressing those are all internalized by us as small children, often even pre-verbally, so that we create in ourselves sort of the same conditions under which we'll take care of ourselves and how we go about doing that. So we have that, we kind of bring in their template, the template they hand us, which is how I'm going to take care of you. How responsive am I going to be? What am I willing to respond to? What needs do I think of as important, and what needs do I bypass or ignore? And all of those things become our inner template. And so when we get to be teenagers, we often realize that we want something else that we don't have, right? We start to look more towards our peers and less towards our caregivers. And we often hit some level of dissatisfaction. And that's an important growth place, both for actual teenagers that we're parenting, and also there's inner teenagers turn out to be really important in Landscape of Mothers because they have so much information about what's missing. So inner teenager work can be really important. Getting in touch with that one who's angry, who feels all the feelings about being rejected or neglected or abandoned or ignored or over controlled, right? So all of these things can come up. We don't want to necessarily fall into those same things. What we want to do though is mine those experiences as observers or as witnesses with the intent of grabbing information. Oh, this was a problem. This thing was missing. This thing needed to go differently. There was too much of this and too little of this kind of thing. We get to adjust the recipe later. And so as we grow into adulthood, then our job becomes to take all of this information and to reorganize our inner landscape and recreate or rebuild, restore, grow our inner mother, right? So that she's someone who takes care of us in the way that we need to be taken care of. That is, we learn to meet our own needs. We learn to ask for what we want, which can be really hard when we have messages in which we're not supposed to do that. And so, but this inner mother, she becomes the core then of no matter what we're up to. So we really need this inner mother to be functional when we're taking care of children, because she's the one who will do better, not perfectly, but she will do better when it comes to parenting in ways that break the patterns of harm in our family line, right? So she's the one who will have pieces of what's been missing. She will have an adjustment or a way to address the things that are overly present, right? If there's too much of something, too much oversight, too much constriction, too much involvement where things are becoming enmeshed, right? So when we grow this inner mother, that is what we need to do in order to parent, but we get so many more benefits from building or reclaiming or restoring that inner mother, where she gets to gain more tools that we've learned over time. She gets to So she gets to have more tools than our parents had. She gets to take care of some of the things that were really painful in our lives. And she lets us know how to meet our own needs. What do we need to ask for? How do we learn what's missing? How do we know what we don't know? How do we learn these things? And she has a lot of that information. And so what I want to offer you is that Landscape of Mothers is a good beginning point for, if all of these are still questions in your mind, like, how do I begin to do this stuff? Where do I start? How do I know? How do I know what I even need to do, because I only have what I did experience, right? And Landscape of Mothers is the first stop. It has a big chunk of what's needed. The different mothers, the different archetypes have a lot of the tools and topics and skills that we want to cultivate when we're trying to find a way to parent without as many passing on so much of the harm and dysfunction and dissociation. So Landscape of Mothers is a place to start. I think there's enough foundation there that, like, we're all going to have our own ways of going about doing these things. We're going to have our own needs. We're going to have our own bits of, we're all going to need different kinds of care. But one place to start is Landscape of Mothers, to start to do that. And it helps us feel more fortified. We reclaim ourselves. We become very capable then of taking care of our inner children. So we know when they're pinged, when their wounds get activated, we're able to take care of ourselves easily. And it also means that we get pretty good at taking care of other people when that's an appropriate response. We also get way better at our boundaries, because Desert Mother is the one who holds boundaries for us. And so all of our relationships get better. Our ability to parent gets better. Our ability to see and deal with old family wounds gets better. And so there's lots of good reasons to do this work. It isn't just for parents. It's for any of us who had mothers, which would be all of us, but especially the ones who feel that our caregivers when we were children weren't able to meet our needs, and we want to be able to do better in our relationships, and particularly with our children. So Landscape of Mothers is for everyone, and starting with that inner place in us is the way we begin to bring it to the different parts of our lives that we want to, whether it's parenting, whether it's ancestral work or family of origin work, or whether it's in our communities and the ways that we interact with folks, and then the ways we take care of ourselves when inevitably life happens and we get triggered by things. It pokes at those wounds of our inner children. So if you have any other questions, you can comment below. This was sort of a quick rundown, just for kind of giving a bigger perspective to Landscape of Mothers. Thanks.